Hi, everyone. I just wanted to take a moment and pop out here really quickly. I had an opportunity this morning to actually go out and talk with someone about my favorite topic, of course, talking about money doesn't spend itself. And it was with a group of authors that, with the book that's coming up, that money doesn't spend itself. Where did it go? It really got me thinking, and I got questioned today. And I thought I would share some of that with you kind of as we were talking. I wanted to kind of share it with my group as well. So the question came up, what are things to keep in mind now that it's year end? Because guess what? Year end is here. 2020 is almost over. You might be celebrating on that. I understand that, but we still got to get through 2020. And what are some of the common mistakes as small business owners that I have run into? And I thought this was a great opportunity just to kind of get you thinking about some things. So I thought I would share it here with you as well. So some of those common mistakes, one of the couple things that came up. One of those is we kind of realized with 2020 being so topsy-turvy, all of a sudden we're in December. I'm not quite sure what happened to the rest of the year, or maybe you felt like you've been through 3 years. It's very possible. One never knows. But what happens when the accounting for your business hit the bottom of the list? Now, all of a sudden, before you realize it, you're several months behind. And that's one of the things that we want to take advantage of and we still have 3 weeks to December. And I want to encourage you and not to fall into this pitfall. If you're already there, it's okay. It's not a problem. You still have 3 weeks. You can get caught back up. I did talk to a client and said, okay, how long has it been since we really got into the QuickBooks cycle? And it had been since May. And I'm like, okay, we really need to catch that up. And what had happened? Their business went crazy. Their business went crazy. And that is one of the mistakes that happens is I think as business owners, we end up putting the accounting and the tracking of our business down to the bottom. And that list is always, I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll get to it tomorrow. And that's one of the biggest, I don't want to say mistakes, it's one of the biggest things that as small business owners fall into is we forget to work on our business. So I want to encourage you, that's one of the things that we talked about is take out some of the stress by getting your system back in place. Go take a look at your tracking. Have you gotten your records up to date? Are you ready for end of year so that you can go ahead and kick the 2020 records to your accountant? If not, now's the perfect time. Start now. Start looking at that and getting those numbers back in place. Well, what happens if they're all over the place? That kind of led to the second thing that, is very common that I think happens very often is all these receipts are all over the place. You may have receipts over in a coat pocket. You may have receipts stuffed under your keyboards. You may have receipts, who knows where they're at. We want to encourage you to really take a step back and get them all to one place. Here's something I offer to my clients on a regular basis, and I encourage them. Get one of those expandable folders. Grab that expandable folder, kick it in month by month. As you have a receipt, drop that receipt in that expandable folder. It makes things so much easier because at least it's all in one place. And if it's all in one place, now you can do something about it and you can get yourself caught up. So I guess that maybe is another thing that ends up happening is how do we find a simple system to accomplish what we have to accomplish? And when it comes to money and money management, that's another one that I'd love to share with you. I'm pretty excited. I see that we have a couple of folks. Go ahead and drop. Is there anything else that you're finding at year end that you're finding that maybe has gotten to the bottom of the list? If you do, drop it into the comments. I'd love to have you, kind of share with what we were going. Because one other thing that came up as we were talking earlier today was not seeking out the right support. Because as small business owners, we know we have to do it all. No, we don't. But that's often what we think. And so often, we think we have to get everything done, but that may be not our strength. Certain things may not be in our wheelhouse, and one of those particular ones is your tax accounting. And that is probably not the forefront for most small business owners. And you know what? That's okay. So invest in partnering up with a good accountant who is going to help you to make sure you take full advantage of the deductions that are available for you. But in order to do that, you also need to have the system in place to make sure you're tracking those numbers. Unfortunately, it's a snowball effect. But the good news is it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be easy. And those are just a couple of the tips and just things to be thinking about now that we are at year end And now is the perfect opportunity. And I just want to take a moment and encourage you, start thinking about year end. Make yourself a checklist. See exactly what you're up against. You have 3 weeks to plan it out. And I encourage you to do just that. Figure it out. If you're not quite sure where some of those are going, or maybe you're just not quite sure what things need to be on that checklist, I have an answer for you for there too. And I would love for you to join me. Tomorrow is my virtual lunch and learn. And this, of course, we are dedicated this week to year-end tips. So I actually have a gift for anyone that attends with me, and it is my year-end checklist, where I'm actually breaking out into about 6 different categories of things that you need to be thinking about as a small business owner, thinking about that you need to start checking off your list. And that is my gift for you, for anyone that attends, and I would love to have that join me. It is always 11:30 to 12:30, the second Wednesday of each month. And this month we are dedicating that to year-end tips. So of course we do a little bit of networking in the beginning and at the end. And in the middle, we are really going to dive into what things do you need to be thinking about for year end? Because my goal is very simple. I want you to finish off 2020 strong. That way, you're ready to kickstart and jumpstart and excel your profits into 2021. So I invite you to join me. I will make sure the link is out there. And I can see that we all have someone who doesn't keep the receipts in one place. That is absolutely correct. And I am just as guilty as the rest of them. Sometimes it's really, really easy to get a little off cycle. And sometimes I got to get that back on track again because the system works if we use it. And that is always the case with a system. What is the best system for you? It's the one you're going to use. And of course, there are times that it's really easy to get sidetracked. And next thing you know, they're stacked up someplace else. Maybe they're stacked up on the desk. Maybe they're stacked up on, I might have been talking a little bit from personal experience as well. And that is one thing that by doing that, and I know that he would agree with me, because if we do keep them in one place, man, we can check those credit cards off. We can get those expenses under control really, really quickly and get everything tracked. But it does take a little bit of effort. And I encourage you to take that little bit of effort. Don't fall into the pitfalls that so many small business owners actually fall into by not keeping things in a relatively organized, it doesn't have to be complicated, in a simple system. Make sure you're keeping up with your numbers because they're here whether we like it or not. Make it stress-free so that come year end, it's as simple as running a report for your accountant, handing them that expandable folder because you've gotten your system in place, and being able to say, here you go, and jumpstart into 2021. And by all means, please surround yourself with the folks that are very supportive and are able to help to build and help you to grow as well. So please join me tomorrow for the virtual lunch and learn. I would love to have you join us. Just looking forward to being able to share some tips and tricks that we need to have in place so that you can actually finish out 2020 very, very strong. And I know that you can do it because, of course, it's time to excel for each and every one of us. So looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Make sure you check the link. I'll make sure it's out there for you. And I am definitely working on training him right. It's been many years in the making, over 20, almost 30. Well, probably at 30. But I am working to get there. And it's always an adventure in my house, but that's okay. And we are getting there, and that's what you need, is the support of others. And that's another area. I'm grateful for his support as well. And when I get a little bit lax, or maybe I'm devoted a little too much to clients, I get a little bit of a reminder that it is time for me to get back on track as well. Because as I said, we're all human, and it's really, really easy to have that happen. So looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. It was great to see everyone. Stop in, and we'll look forward to seeing you because it is your time to excel. Have a great night, everyone.